So we've got two major conflicts flaring up in the same part of the world at pretty much the exact same time. Now, on the surface, they might look totally unrelated, but as we're about to break down, they are dangerously connected, and the fallout, well, it could be absolutely massive.
Right. Two intense military situations, both happening at once. But are they really separate? In this explainer, we're going to dig into what's happening on the ground, look at who the key players are, and really uncover the one critical link that ties these two dangerous events together.
Okay, let's start with our first flashpoint. We're in the Middle East, where a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, something that was supposed to bring calm, has somehow become the trigger for even more tension. It's a real mess. At first, the news actually sounded hopeful. After a lot of back and forth attacks, a ceasefire gets announced. US President Trump even gets on social media calling it complete and permanent. For just a brief moment there, it really seemed like things were finally de-escalating. But that hope? Yeah, it was incredibly short-lived. The whole thing fell apart with stunning speed. We're talking hours, just hours after the agreement. Israel says it shot down 2 missiles fired from Iran. Iran comes back with a flat nope, wasn't us. But then, words turn into action, and Iran scrambles its MiG-29 fighter jets. That's not a de-escalation, that's a show of force. And really, the Israeli prime minister's own words capture the vibe perfectly. He says, sure, a ceasefire has been agreed upon, but then he adds this stark warning. This peace was completely conditional. It wasn't a resolution. It was more like a pause, with both sides just waiting for the other to blink.
Okay, now for the second flashpoint. While all that tension is simmering between Iran and Israel, a totally separate, full-blown military offensive was kicking off hundreds of miles to the east, right on that volatile border between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
So Pakistan said there was cross-border aggression, and in response, its armed forces launched a major military campaign. They called it Operation Khazab-e-Haq, and the official target? Afghan Taliban militants that Pakistan accused of carrying out terror attacks on its soil. The scale of this operation became obvious almost immediately. The first reports coming from the Pakistani military claimed 331 Afghan Taliban militants had been killed, with over 500 more wounded. I mean, those are not numbers from a minor skirmish. That is a large-scale offensive sending a very clear message. And this operation wasn't just about targeting fighters. It was aimed at ripping out their infrastructure. Reports claimed 104 militant posts were totally destroyed, and another 22 were captured. See, by taking out their bases and gear, Pakistan wasn't just fighting back. It was trying to cripple the militants' ability to even operate. And all that military action was backed up by this incredibly blunt message from Pakistan's military spokesperson. This wasn't just some diplomatic warning. It was a straight-up ultimatum, delivered directly to the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. The message couldn't be clearer. If you harbor these guys, there will be serious consequences.
So we have two very distinct, very volatile situations. A fragile ceasefire that's about to break, and a hot war escalating on the Afghan border. So what's the connection? Well, the answer really lies in how Washington decided to respond. And this is where it gets really fascinating. The Trump administration took two completely different approaches here. For the Pakistan-Afghanistan conflict, the US was super supportive, publicly backing Pakistan's right to self-defense. But when it came to Iran, the policy was the total opposite. A hardline, non-negotiable demand to shut down its nuclear program, backed up with military threats. Let's just look at the exact language used. President Trump was pouring on the praise for Pakistan's actions. He said they were doing a very good job and that the army's advance was magnificent. I mean, this is about as clear a green light as you can get from Washington. Now contrast that with the tone on Iran. It is a complete 180. The message from both the president and vice president was an ultimatum. No uranium enrichment, period. It wasn't a negotiation, it was a red line. And the threat was explicit. If Iran even tries to build a weapon, the US military will deal with it.
All right, so let's pull back and look at the big picture here. What we've got isn't just one or two crises. It's a whole chain of interconnected events, creating this highly unstable, frankly dangerous situation across the entire region. So the key takeaway is this. The whole regional chessboard is lit up right now. The Iran-Israel ceasefire is really just a tense standoff. It's not real peace. The Pakistan-Afghanistan border is an active war zone with clear U.S. support for one side. And while all this is happening, you've got the EU calling for calm and regional players like Saudi Arabia just watching with a lot of concern. And at the heart of it all is a U.S. foreign policy that's treating two very similar crises in two very, very different ways.
And that leaves us with a critical and pretty unsettling reality. This region isn't at peace. It's in what you'd call an unstable equilibrium. It's like a house of cards. You've got a fake ceasefire, an active war, and major powers pushing in opposite directions. The real question is no longer if it falls apart, but which of these pressure points will be the first one to finally break.